Hi everyone. I'm here today at a very special place, and that is where I first went to school. This is my first and second grade classrooms in the quintessential Little Red Schoolhouse. Even though it's in the middle of a city, it seemed like a separate world to me, and I spent many a fond day at this building. You can see the weather vane up on top that's still there. And I went to first grade and second grade in these rooms. It's tucked away behind a science museum and a planetarium. So let's take a look around. The Little Red Schoolhouse is now home to a groundskeeper's cottage for the museum and science center, and backs up with a little greenhouse onto the same park that I remember playing spud and dodgeball and tag at when I was small. It has the same beautiful old trees and the same sorts of wonderful fall leaves crunching underfoot. It was such a strange and interesting place to go to school, to be able to look out of your classroom window and see a planetarium. We used to go over there as a class to march into the little sky planetarium viewing room, and we'd watch movies in the Star Theater about the stars and the constellations and mythology. And right next door to it was a science center with dinosaur fossils and exhibits on old New York and on all of the Native American groups that habituated this area. I'm here today because I've decided to start a new little mini-series on my channel about what else? Books. But these are going to be books that informed my childhood, specifically books that I remember from my early school days here at the Little Red Schoolhouse. I'd like to start by celebrating my favorite book club of all time, the Scholastic Book Club. Remember the Scholastic Book Club? This was a book club that existed when some of us were little, and it was fantastic. One of the titles in the Scholastic Book Club that I find most memorable and is just so emblazoned in my childhood memory is Sara Crewe by Frances Hodgson Burnett. And this book is the story of Sara Crewe, who is sent to Miss Minchin's Select Seminary for Young Ladies. Now, you may know this story under the name A Little Princess, but when we were little in our school, the Scholastic Book Services had this abridged edition calling it Sara Crewe with the very, very memorable paisley cover, and this was our first introduction to Frances Hodgson Burnett and to the story of Sara Crewe that's further developed in A Little Princess. And I so remember this copy of the book and how all of us little schoolgirls used to walk around holding these and comparing notes at recess about how far we had gotten and what chapter we were on. And this was about a school for young girls, so we felt like we were at Miss Minchin's. And the very first chapter, with the very evocative illustrations by Brian Wildsmith, sets the tone for the entire book, Alone in the World. And it starts out, in the first place, Miss Minchin lived in London. Her home was a large, dull, tall one in a large, dull space, where all the houses were alike, and all the sparrows were alike, and where all the door knockers made the same heavy sound, and on still days, and nearly all the days were still, seemed to resound through the entire row in which the knock was knocked. And so, of course, it's about Captain Crewe, who has lost his wife, and Sara has lost her mother. And Captain Crewe doesn't feel that he can take care of her and wants Sara to have a good education. And so he comes back from India, where he's been stationed, and sends Sara away to a boarding school, Miss Minchin's school. And these are the Minchin sisters. And the drawings are just so wonderful in this, and it's really a very good abridgment of the story. And of course, there's the memorable scene where Sara comes home after a day bedraggled from the unending rain and just stained with mud and splattered and splashed. And she comes home, and they have her living in a dark, dank garret at the very top of the school. And she has to climb up and up and up the flights of stairs to get there. And when she gets there, she opens her door in tears, ready to just break down and cry and collapse. But instead, someone has magically transformed the space. They've lit a fire in the fireplace, and they've put flowers on the mantle. The bed is made up with a new bedspread. The table is set with a sumptuous feast. There's a carpet on the floor, and there's books on the bed ready to be read. What could be more captivating than to read a novel about a little girl who's also away at school, but who is all alone in the world. She's suddenly been orphaned, and she's in a school which is dark and dreary and severe. And she's poor. She has no money. She's completely reliant upon the kindnesses, or at least the tolerance, of complete strangers. And to feel that she's really, truly all alone in the world as a little girl in a vast city is just such a poignant and heart-stopping scenario to read about when you're young yourself. This made such a huge impression on me, and I'll eternally be thankful to Frances Hodgson Burnett for this story, Sara Crewe.